To a man, the Americans who made it through the winter of 1776 and 1777 on the Wallabout hulks told of horrors that made the ordeal of the Yankee seem almost tame by comparison. The Grosvenor, James Little, suffered every inconvenience but death. The ship was so crowded that the men could not lie down at once, and their rations barely sufficed to keep body and soul together. In the morning, half a pint of a watery stew called burgoo, scraps of kennel biscuit at night. In the petrified, stagnant air of the hold of the vessel, crowded with vermin, he and his companions grew pitiless, faint, and feeble. And once the smallpox began its deadly work, the mortality was just heartbreaking. Every morning, Little recalled, dead bodies were hoisted on deck, a cannonball fastened to them, and they were thrown overboard with the shout of, "There goes another damned Yankee rebel." Little also remembered that when Isaac Gibb got permission to bury his father ashore in the dead of winter, he, as well as the two friends he took with him, none with proper clothing, got so chilled and frozen that they died soon after their return. Indeed, to go outside from the confined air in the hold of the vessel brought almost instant death. At one point, Little and about 40 others with smallpox were taken off the ship and led, reeling and tumbling, to a hospital on shore. Only Little, Isaac Grant, and Alicia Grant lasted a fortnight, and we hourly expected to follow. The three survived, however, and were paroled in February 1777. Little made his way home to Danbury, where I soon regained my health so as to be able to labor and again assist in defending my country. In the narrative he later set to paper for his children, Ichabod Perry, then a 17-year-old private from Fairfield, Connecticut, described the outer darkness of his first night aboard one of the ships, when he and other men were packed so tightly that as many as a third of them suffocated by morning. "It took us the better part of the day to pull out the dead," he wrote. "The survivors, fed rations not fit for hogs, soon became delirious with hunger. Perry himself began to think, I could eat my own flesh without wincing. Because only a few prisoners were allowed on deck at a time, we had no means for cleaning ourselves. Our outside clothes were glassed over with besmear, and our underclothes were not much better, and not a hair was cut from our faces while I was there." One of those paroled around the 1st of February 1777 somehow managed to make it home, hardly able to draw one foot after the other, yet eager to be exchanged so that I could be at them again. After only days on the Whitby, some of the captives from Connecticut managed to get a letter to Governor Jonathan Trumbull of the state, describing the more than 250 men aboard as most wretched, many sick and without the least assistance from physician, drug, or medicine, all fed on 2/3 allowance of salt provisions, and all crowded promiscuously together without distinction or respect to person, office, or color, in a small room of a ship between decks, allowed only to walk the main deck from about sunrising till sunset. Only two at once to come on deck to do what nature requires, and sometimes we had even been denied that, and being obliged to make use of tubs and buckets below deck, to the great offense of every delicate cleanly person, as well as to the great prejudice of our healths. David Thorpe, the native of Woodbury, Connecticut, recalled that 4 days a week his 8-man mess received nothing to eat, except several pints of wormy oatmeal. On the other 3 days, each of them had 2 ounces of salt beef with a little hard biscuit. Once, they had no fresh water for 3 days. It did not take long before the men began sinking into a kind of catatonic despondency. William Shade of New Canaan, initially held in the North Dutch Church, then transferred to the Grosvenor, recorded their decline in his diary. Saturday the 8th, the day we were almost discouraged, but considered that we would not do. Cast off such thoughts, we drawn our bread and ate with sadness, spent the day reading and in meditation, hoping for good news. Wednesday the 11th, still in hopes. Friday the 13th of December 1776. We now see nothing but the mercy of God to intercede for us. Sorrowful times. All faces look pale, discouraged. Saturday the 14th. Times look dark. Death prevails among us. Also hunger and naked. At night suffer with cold and hunger. Sunday the 15th. Paleness attends all faces. The melancholiest day I ever saw. As sorrowful times as I ever saw. Tuesday the 17th. We are treated worse than cattle and hogs. Wednesday the 18th. Hunger prevails. Sorrow comes on. Friday the 20th. Prisoners hang their heads and look pale. No comfort, all sorrow. Sunday the 22nd. Last night nothing but groans, all night of sick and dying. Men amazing to behold. Such hardness, sickness prevails fast. Death multiplies. All faces sad. Monday the 23rd. One dies almost every day. Friday the 27th. 3 men of our battalion died last night.